We're trying to understand the political dynamics in a particular country context that shape development outcomes. But as soon as you start talking about politics, which is about contesting and bargaining and negotiating over access to resources and use of resources, you're talking about the interaction between political power and economic power, between politicians and investors. And so you're talking about political processes and economic processes and the interaction between them and how that shapes incentives and shapes opportunities and capacity for development. Development is essentially a locally driven political process, and that if external players are going to be at all effective in influencing how that process takes place, they have to understand it and look for ways of engaging with it. A lot of donors have been using political economy analysis, DFID and Swedish SIDA and the World Bank and the Netherlands and UNDP. And if I look back at the experience that they've had, I would say that the impact has been at two levels. It's affected the strategy programming at country level, and mainly it's shown people that some of their previous expectations were completely unrealistic, that their timeframes were unrealistic, that they were over confident about being able to influence behavior and so on. And it's made for more realism. And that then at a sector level, it's given people a better understanding of the key incentives and interests of the main stakeholders, and therefore different ways of approaching an issue, maybe different language to talk about it in, and so on. More and more donors are realizing that if they want to be taken seriously, they have to catch up with this fashion. So it's quite a powerful fashion. The reason I think it might be just another fashion is this, that although I see that it's made a difference to the way people approach country programming and design of sector programs, the impact has been quite fragmented within agencies. And what it hasn't done is to induce any kind of fundamental rethink about how development happens, what the role of external players might be if you recognize that it's essentially a locally driven political process. And that in turn, therefore, isn't affecting key decisions that agencies make about how they recruit and deploy staff and train them and use them. And if that doesn't happen, and people have unrealistic expectations of what political economy can deliver, then it might just be a passing fad. I'm quite clear that it's absolutely central to improving the effectiveness not just of aid but of a broader development effort.